My wife and I had a great life together. We met within a church and started dating when she was 23 and I was 21. We were ready to get married in the eyes of God after 2 years of dating. We didn't move in or sleep together before that, opting to wait until marriage. I was sure she was an angel. She knew how to cook and even brought me cooked meals while we dated. She made it clear that she knew how to be a traditional wife that honored her husband. She was so good at being the perfect example of a Christian woman and wife that she wrote a book. It was really good, and a lot of her publicity started within her family church in her hometown. She found a connection to a Christian publication company that supported her and what she stood for. We spent every moment together, and I fully supported her unexpected career as an author. For 3 years, we had an amazing, peaceful marriage. She was my rock. I loved how she excelled at the duties of a wife while managing to work on her second book. Before either of us knew it, she was going on her very first book tour. When she returned home, I unpacked her suitcase in the morning while she slept. A copy of her book fell out of a bundle of clothes. When I picked it up, I noticed she had signed it to someone named Rye with a sweet message and her phone number. I was so confused. Why would she do this, and why would she still have the book mixed in with her clothes? I woke her up and asked her about it. She seemed stumped and panicked, but played it off as sleepy irritation. She asked me why I was going through her stuff. I told her I just wanted to help her unpack, and found this. She calmly explained that it was for a woman named Ray who loved her book and had gotten lunch with her. She'd accidentally left it on the table when she left, so my wife planned to give it back to her. This didn't sound right. How did she leave the book without my wife being able to stop her? I pointed out that the spelling was likely wrong if she really was a woman. My wife asked me what I meant by that, saying it wasn't fair for me to assume she was lying. I asked her one more time if she was telling me the truth, and she swore she was being honest. She started to look genuinely concerned when she realized how upset I was. She got up and gave me a long hug, kissing my neck, swearing that I was the only man for her and her life had only just begun. I left the room feeling confused and slightly concerned. A few days later, I got home from work and noticed her through the living room window talking on the phone. She was laying on the couch, bouncing her crossed legs and spinning her hair. She was smiling ear to ear, giggling, biting her lip. She looked adorable, but I had no idea who she talked to like that. When I walked in, she must have hung up on the person because she was instantly off the phone, greeting me as if all was normal. Over dinner, I asked her who she was talking with on the phone. She looked a little surprised that I saw, but she quickly and shamelessly admitted it was the woman Ray. I wanted to check her phone to see what number it was and try to call it. That night, for the first time, my wife put her phone under her pillow to sleep, claiming it would be easier for her to hear her alarm. I thought about demanding her phone right then and there, but I honestly started to doubt myself. I wasn't sure she was up to anything out of the ordinary because she was normally a social butterfly. Just because she was talking to someone or multiple people didn't mean she was cheating on me. I really wanted to sleep that night because I was exhausted, so I didn't start anything. The next morning, she told me she was going to be home late because she was going to meet with her publishing agent, Tracy. This made sense because she was working on a second book. I asked her how it was coming along, and she read some of it to me. I asked where they'd be meeting, and she told me where the publishing office was located. I told her I thought they closed at 4, and she said she was going late because that was the only time Tracy had available to see her. I asked why they couldn't meet another day, and explained that I didn't like it when she wasn't home when I was off work. My wife snapped and said she'd been feeling this sense of distrust lately, and she hated it. Before walking away, she told me I needed to knock it off. That was the first time my wife ever said anything like that to me. I drove to the publishing office after work and found the parking lot empty. Zero cars. I drove around aimlessly for a bit, calling my wife over and over. I felt extremely lost and betrayed. I went home and tried to stay awake to wait for her, but I fell asleep around 1 a.m. I'm surprised that I didn't wake up whenever my wife got home. She just snuck into her room and went to bed. I found her the next morning, sound asleep. I checked my phone and noticed a delayed Easy Pass notification. My wife never took the turnpike anywhere unless it was to promote her writing career, and in those situations, she always told me. I was sure now she was having an affair, but I wanted to catch her red-handed so she couldn't lie to me anymore. The time I spent waiting for her to actually separate from her phone felt like an eternity. She didn't make it obvious that she was texting, but I could tell she was in communication with someone. When she finally separated from her phone, it was because she spilled a soda and went to grab a towel. I grabbed her phone and went into the bathroom. I installed a tracking app as quickly as I could, hiding it in a utilities folder on her phone. I didn't have time to look through her phone for anything. I just prayed this would work. I heard her wonder out loud where her phone went. I decided to call the house phone as a distraction. When she went to answer it, I jumped out of the bathroom and put her phone in the couch cushions. She didn't have a clue. I got home from work a week later, and she told me she was going to a book signing the next day, hours away, so she'd be spending the night in Lancaster. That town made sense, according to the Easy Pass charges. I pretended to be fine with it, but I knew I was going to follow her. She planned to depart while I was at work, so I had to call off. I couldn't focus on work anyway since I suspected my wife of infidelity. I called Tracy to ask about the book signing my wife was going to. She validated my concern by telling me that there wouldn't be another book signing for months. I told her I suspected my wife of cheating on me. She said if that was the case, they wouldn't continue working with her to promote her book. I lost her for a bit after she got off the exit, but I was able to locate her on the tracking app. She was settling in. I parked and watched her bring in her luggage. Not even 10 minutes later, another car pulled up. A man got out with flowers and knocked on her door. She answered it and squealed. She was so excited. She threw her arms around his neck and started kissing him passionately. His hands immediately started feeling her body and intimate parts. I jumped out of the car and sprinted over to them. When they heard me and turned to look, my wife made a very distressed noise that I had never heard her make before. First, she asked me what I was doing there. I asked her what he was doing here. He asked me who I was, and I wanted to punch him. I yelled that I was her husband, and he started backing off. He threw his arms up and went for his car. My wife called after him and looked at me like I just broke her heart. She started stammering. She wanted to be mad at me, but she was the one that was caught. I accused her of cheating on me and throwing away our entire relationship and life together for some random man that read her book. I started walking away, realizing this was the worst moment of my life, and it was only the beginning of the end. My wife chased after me, trying to convince me to talk to her. I told her I didn't have another word to say, and she should spend her energy trying to save her job. I left her there in the parking lot. She tried calling me and texting me several times, all while I canceled the bank card she had that connected to my bank account. I knew she was counting on that for Easy Pass and her car payment. I stopped on the way home for new door locks. She showed up the next day and tried to use her key. When that didn't work, she stomped around the backyard, trying to slide open the glass door. Her name wasn't on the mortgage because her credit was non-existent. I was going to make sure she suffered the consequences of wasting years of my life and cheating on me. I yelled through the glass door that she didn't deserve a house, home, or husband. She stood there and tried calling me 12 times while making eye contact. I just sipped my coffee. I felt proud. I knew I could call the police on her at any moment and have her removed from my property. And I think she knew that, which is why she was trying so hard to be sweet. She left voicemails while standing at the back door.